Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at the world of online matchmaking,
Okay.
specifically Matrimony.com's Q2 FY25 results.
Wow.
We've got a company fact sheet, an investor presentation, and you've come with some really interesting questions.
Yeah.
So let's dive right in.
Sounds good.
So,
It's interesting to see this company, founded in 2000 now, kind of dominating that online matchmaking scene in India.
yeah.
They've got a market cap as of September 30, 2024 of around 16,805 million INR.
Wow.
And they're not just a digital company,
Right.
which is interesting. They've got over 140 retail stores across India.
Huh.
So they're blending that digital reach with a personalized touch.
Yeah, it's like they understand that finding the one isn't just about an algorithm, right? It's
Yeah.
about that personal connection.
Absolutely.
But let's talk about their financials.
Yeah.
Are people swiping right on those too?
Yeah.
Because their Q2 revenue actually dipped 5%,
Okay.
down to 11,155 million INR. And matchmaking revenue, which is their core offering, right?
Right.
That also saw a decrease 4.1%.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is interesting.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Their profit actually increased 5% to 132 million INR.
Oh, wow.
So that tells me
So they're making more money.
they're managing their costs really well.
Okay.
They're squeezing more profit out of each rupee earned.
That's pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
It makes you wonder if this dip in revenue is just a blip
Right.
or a sign of something bigger.
Yeah.
They did add 0.25 million new paid subscribers,
Okay.
which is still growth,
Sure.
but that's down 4.9% year over year.
hmm
So is the love boat slowing down a little bit?
Well, to understand, we need to look at the ocean that they're sailing in, right?
Right.
India has this massive population.
Yeah.
Over 1.4 billion people, and over 600 million of them are unmarried.
Wow.
That's 100 million people actively searching for partners.
That's a lot of potential matches. But, I mean, India is still, they do things a little more traditionally,
Sure.
a lot of arranged marriages.
Right.
How does that impact a company like Matrimony.com?
Well, it's true. Arranged marriages were still over 80% in 2016.
Really?
But only 6% of those actively seeking partners are using online services.
So there's this huge gap
Huge gap.
between the tradition and the digital world.
And Matrimony.com is perfectly poised to bridge that gap,
So they're sitting on a gold mine, potentially.
potentially.
But what makes them stand out?
Yeah.
What's their secret sauce that's got them kind of ahead of the pack?
It's their hyper-local approach.
Okay.
Forget one giant website for everyone.
Right.
They've got 17 region-specific portals and over 300 community-based sites.
Wow.
If you're a Bengali doctor looking for someone who speaks Tamil, they've got a site for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Talk about catering to a niche.
They are really good at that.
It seems like they're blending tradition with technology in a really specific way.
Absolutely. And they're not just stopping at matching profiles.
Oh.
They're using AI and data analytics, not just to connect people, but to nudge them towards becoming paid subscribers.
So it's not just about finding love. It's about converting that love into revenue.
Exactly.
Clever.
Very clever.
I've also noticed they're not shy about marketing.
No, they're not.
Are they doing anything particularly interesting on that front?
They're playing a 360-degree game.
Okay.
TV ads, print, targeted digital campaigns, even a strong customer service team. They're covering all the bases, making sure they're reaching everyone from the tech-savvy singles to those who prefer a more traditional approach.
It's like they're saying, hey, whether you're browsing on your phone or asking your aunt to set you up,
Yeah.
we got you covered.
Exactly.
But they're not just matchmaking anymore, right?
Yeah.
They're expanding into other areas related to marriage. Tell
Yeah.
me about that.
Well, they're not just about the match.
Yeah.
They're about the entire journey.
Okay.
WeddingBazaar.com connects users with all sorts of wedding vendors.
Oh, wow.
And then they've got MatrimonyMandaps.com, which helps you find the perfect venue.
So they're building a whole empire of love.
They are.
But it seems like they're also branching out beyond the traditional arranged marriage model with some new ventures.
That's right.
Fill us in on those.
Well, they've launched Lubinov.com,
Okay.
which is a matchmaking app targeting Indians who want serious long-term relationships.
Interesting.
It's a direct response to the growing popularity of those relationship-focused dating apps,
Right.
but with a cultural twist.
So catering to those who want a modern approach, but still within their cultural context.
Exactly.
What other ventures are they experimenting with?
They've also got MerilLuvag.com,
Okay.
which focuses specifically on Indian Americans.
Got it.
So they're acknowledging that the dating landscape for that diaspora is unique.
Makes sense. Any other new projects that are catching your eye?
This one might surprise you.
Okay.
They've got Machastro.
Machastro.
It's an astrology product,
Oh, wow.
giving personalized advice on love relationships and marriage.
So really leaning into that cultural side of things.
Absolutely.
Blending tradition and technology in a very literal way.
Yeah.
Like they're saying, hey, we get you. We understand your beliefs.
Right.
But with all these ventures, how's their financial health looking overall?
Yeah.
Are they on solid ground?
They are remarkably debt-free,
Okay.
which is great for investors.
Yeah.
And their free cash flow generation is strong.
Meaning?
They've got money to invest back into the business.
Okay, so they're not just dreaming big. They've got the resources to back it up.
Exactly.
Any other financial highlights that stand out to you?
Yeah, their annualized return on capital employed is sitting at 13%,
Okay.
which tells us they're using their investments wisely and getting good returns.
Good.
But here's where it gets interesting.
All right.
Remember that slight revenue dip we talked about?
I do. That definitely raised some eyebrows.
To understand if that's a blip or a trend,
Mm-hmm.
we need to dig deeper into their financials
Okay.
and see how those new ventures are performing.
All right, so that's what we're going to be unpacking in part 2 of this deep dive.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to our deep dive into Matrimony.com.
Yeah.
Last time we talked about their impressive reach, from physical stores to all those really specific matchmaking sites.
Right.
But we also noticed that dip in revenue,
Yeah.
which is a bit of a head scratcher,
It's
considering their profit actually went up.
right. Well, if you look closer at their financials,
Yeah.
their total expenses actually decreased year over year. So it's really a case of smart money management.
So they're trimming the fat, but not sacrificing growth.
Exactly. They're getting lean and mean.
I like it.
But their fact sheet also mentioned a focus on operational efficiency.
Right.
What does that actually look like in the world of online matchmaking?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, they're expanding into all these new ventures
Uh-huh.
while becoming more cost-effective.
Okay.
So it's not just growth. It's like strategic and disciplined expansion.
That-
They're doing more with less.
That's pretty impressive.
It is.
And they're not pulling back on marketing either.
No, they're not.
In fact, their marketing spend actually increased a little bit year over year.
Yeah, which is a good sign.
Yeah.
It means they're playing the long game.
Right.
They know they need to stay visible,
Huh.
especially in a market as competitive as this.
Yeah, you can't just disappear when new players are popping up all the time.
Absolutely.
So it's like they're keeping the love flame burning bright.
Right.
Now, they did add 0.25 million new paid subscribers this quarter,
Right.
but it is slightly down from last year.
Right.
What about those new ventures we talked about?
Yeah.
How are Loveviv.com, Merliv.com, and Machastro performing?
Well, we don't have specific numbers for each venture yet,
Sure.
but their investor presentation gives us some hints.
Okay.
They're clearly putting a lot of resources behind these platforms
Okay.
and believe that they'll be significant growth drivers in the future.
It's an interesting mix.
It is.
You've got Luvinif.com catering to those, serious relationship seekers.
Yeah.
Merluviv.com focusing on that very specific Indian American market. And then you've got Machastro, which is a whole different ballgame entirely.
It's bold.
Yeah.
It's like they're not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Right.
They're acknowledging that the love market is diversifying.
And they're trying to capture those different segments,
Groups,
like a
yeah.
whole network of love connections.
That's a good way to put it.
And they're not just expanding digitally.
Right.
They've already got a presence in Dubai,
Yeah.
and they're looking to reach other international markets too.
Which makes sense.
Right.
The Indian diaspora is huge.
Yeah.
And there's a demand for these kinds of culturally specific matchmaking services all over the world.
So they're tapping into a global market.
Exactly.
Smart.
Very smart.
So we have a company that's financially sound,
Yeah.
operationally efficient,
Yeah.
strategically investing in marketing,
Right.
and expanding both digitally and geographically.
It seems like they have all the right pieces in place.
But we can't ignore the challenges.
Of course not.
Right.
The online matchmaking landscape is dynamic.
Right. Things change quickly.
They do user preferences shift. New competitors pop up all the time.
It's a fast-paced world.
It is.
What specific challenges do you see Matrimony.com facing in this environment?
I think one big one is user experience.
Okay.
People are used to these slick, intuitive apps.
Yeah?
Matrimony.com needs to make sure that their platforms are not just functional,
Right.
but enjoyable to use.
They have to be engaging.
If they fall behind on that,
Yeah.
users will just go to the competition.
So it's not just about connecting people anymore. It's about doing it in a way that feels modern and engaging.
Exactly.
What else should they be keeping an eye on?
Data privacy.
Ah,
It's huge. As they gather more user data, especially with AI and these matchmaking algorithms,
right.
they need to be transparent about how they're using it and ensure they're complying with all the regulations.
Privacy is paramount.
Absolutely. Especially in a market where there are sensitivities around arranged marriage and family reputation.
Right. They need to build trust not just with users, but with families.
Exactly. One wrong move on the data front, and that trust can erode very quickly.
It's a delicate balance between innovation and responsibility.
It is.
Any other potential hurdles they should be prepared for?
Well, one of the most interesting challenges is actually cultural.
Oh, okay.
India is a vast and diverse country.
Right.
And while they're brilliant at that micro-market approach, they need to make sure that they're not alienating anyone with their expansion.
Especially as they move into international markets.
Yeah.
So it's about maintaining that balance between tradition and modernity, which seems to be their strength.
Exactly. As we move into the final part of our deep dive, we'll take a closer look at how they can maintain this balance and what these long-term trends mean for a company like Matrimony.com, poised between those two worlds.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've looked at Matrimony.com's financials, their expansion plans. But now I want to kind of step back.
Okay.
Look at the bigger picture.
Sure.
What are the long-term trends shaping the online matchmaking world?
Yeah.
And how is a company like this positioned to ride those waves?
Well, I think one of the biggest trends that we're seeing is the continued dominance of mobile technology.
Like, everyone's on their phones.
Everyone's on their phones.
It's not just about having a website anymore.
Exactly.
So does Matrimony.com have a strong mobile game?
They do, with their apps and mobile-optimized sites.
Okay.
But they can't get complacent.
Right.
That user experience has to be top-notch.
Yeah.
It has to be seamless, engaging.
Have options, right?
Oh, yeah. If their app feels clunky or outdated, users will jump ship to competitors.
So it's a constant race to keep up.
It is.
With the latest trends in design and functionality. What else should they be focusing on in this ever-evolving digital landscape?
I think personalization is key.
Okay.
Users expect these tailored experiences.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to something as personal as finding a partner.
Right.
You don't want to be wading through, thousands of irrelevant profiles.
Right.
They want to feel like the platform understands their needs.
Like it gets them.
Understands their preferences.
It's like having a digital matchmaker that really knows you.
Exactly.
How is Matrimony.com addressing this need for personalization?
Well, their hyper-local approach with all those region-specific and community-based sites gives them a head start. But they can take it further by leveraging AI and data analytics to refine those matches.
Okay.
Imagine an algorithm that not only considers your basic preferences, but analyzes your activity on the platform, your communication style, even your astrological compatibility if you're into that kind of thing.
Wow. That's taking it to a whole other level.
It is.
But with AI comes data privacy.
Of course.
How can they ensure they're using all this data responsibly?
Transparency is crucial.
Okay.
Users need to understand what data is being collected, how it's being used, and what control they have over it.
Yeah, they need to feel empowered.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Matrimony.com needs to be upfront about its data practices and ensure they're complying with all the regulations.
Especially given those cultural sensitivities in India.
Absolutely.
Around marriage and family reputation.
They need to build and maintain that trust.
They do.
With their users.
But beyond these digital trends, what other challenges do they face as they kind of expand this empire of love, as we called it?
Yeah, the competition is fierce.
Right.
New players are emerging all the time.
With their own unique angles and target audiences.
It's exact. Matrimony.com needs to constantly innovate.
Yeah.
Find ways to differentiate themselves.
So it's not enough to just be the biggest fish in the pond anymore. They need to offer something special.
Something special.
Something that sets them apart.
Right, and that something special needs to resonate with users.
Yeah.
Across generations and cultural backgrounds.
Right.
And one of the biggest challenges they face, I think, is bridging that gap
between
tradition and modernity.
It's that balancing act.
Right.
Between honoring those traditional values of arranged marriage and also appealing to a younger generation that might be more comfortable with online dating.
Right. They're less bound by those norms.
Exactly.
They need to be sensitive to those cultural nuances.
For sure.
And avoid alienating any part of their audience.
It's a tough line to walk.
It is a delicate tightrope walk.
So where do you see Matrimony.com heading in the long run?
That's a good question.
Do they have what it takes to stay ahead?
I think they have a lot going for them.
Like,
Their deep understanding of the Indian market, their established brand, their diverse network of platforms,
right?
their willingness to experiment.
Yeah, they're not afraid to try new things.
All of these factors put them in a strong position.
They've got the foundation and the ambition.
But the key to their future success
Yeah.
lies in their ability to adapt,
Okay.
to innovate.
Cuban.
They need to embrace the latest technologies, personalize that user experience,
Right.
prioritize data privacy,
Yeah.
and navigate those cultural complexities with sensitivity and respect.
It sounds like they're at a crossroads.
They are.
They can either cling to the past
Right.
or boldly step into the future.
And shape the very landscape of online matchmaking in India and beyond.
It's a fascinating story unfolding before us.
It is.
Will they build this empire of love that caters to both tradition and modernity?
That's the question, isn't it?
Only time will tell.
Only time will tell.
But it's going to be a captivating journey to watch.
Absolutely.
Well, folks, that brings our deep dive into Matrimony.com to a close. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From their financials to the broader trends shaping their industry.
Right.
But what stands out to me is this unique position they occupy at the intersection of tradition and technology, a position that presents both remarkable opportunities
Absolutely.
and complex challenges.
It does. It's a story that raises a lot of interesting questions.
It does. Like, how will they balance innovation with cultural sensitivities?
Right.
Will their new ventures be successful?
Yeah. Will they capture those new segments of the market
Can they maintain their dominance?
in a landscape that's constantly evolving?
Right. These are questions that will continue to unfold
They will.
in the coming years, and we'll be watching closely.
For sure.
Ready to dive back in and see how this fascinating story evolves.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was fun.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep an eye on the ever-changing world of love and technology